Hello there. Welcome back to the C++ tutorial. Sorry for the delay. It's not really a delay, is it? 2 days. Yeah, like I said, it was sort of, well, you wouldn't know, but I was trying to sort of think of the right approach for this window thingy. It's this window class, which is similar to the dialog thing, but there are a couple other issues that come up. So taking some advice of a friend of mine, he always said that just start doing it. Don't try to come up with the perfect solution first. Just start working on it, and things will come up. And they did, and it's moving along okay, I think. Now the way I've gone about with this design here. Well, you can't see anything here. Well, you can see something. First, I just decided to build the class name out of this name plus something to do with the style. No, style is instance data. So I would get a different class for different instances doing it that way, but it doesn't matter. I could always use the same class name. Who cares, what the class name is? Lots of room. Now, the way this thing works is there's a static function called, this is the equivalent of register class. It takes a class name and an H instance, so it's it's like register class. And here it is. Returns an atom. There are defaults for most of these arguments. This is a default. Style is a default. Cursor. Cursor has a default. Icon. Let's see. Icon is 0. Normally. Background brush, never figured out what to do with that. And menu name, which defaults also to no. Calls register class. Returns an atom. Now, there's only one constructor in this TsWindow. And it takes that atom value. So you can't really specify the class name here. You specify the class name when you register the atom, and so therefore I know that whatever is passed into this constructor has to have already been registered. Either that or it's an invalid atom. So that takes care of that problem. As for making an instance, there's something like do modal. But first we've got to decide if we want any special styles, what size. The simplest thing is to just give a title, and that will give it a title with no style and no extended style, and that's essentially that box, the box with no borders or anything. The next simplest has just a title and a style. And then, moving along, there's title. Well, these are the same. Okay, so you can specify size and client coordinates or screen coordinates. Screen coordinates is easy, you don't have to worry about that. But client, if you want the client area to be a specific size, then you have to deal with what the style is, because the style changes the size of the window, and so you got to go through all the different cases. And extended style I haven't dealt with yet. All of these functions wind up calling this function. So it all goes through here. And at this point, I can actually figure out what the class name is from the atom. This here, this LPSA class is always an atom value. It's always asserted here is valid atom. That means it's a number less than F. It's this. It's between max int atom and FFFF. So from C's to F's. So it's never a string passed in here. So doing it that way simplifies a lot, as a matter of fact. Because this window, create window, is associated with something called a window create struct. And that's a thing that gets passed to a window when it's created. Where's the window proc? Default window proc. Oh yeah. See this create struct? Now, sometimes you might want to fiddle around with these create structs. And I have an example where I do so. Where is it? Oh yeah. In create instance here. See? This here takes title, and this is one particular one. One of them anyway. Okay, well this one calls this one, so everything funnels into here. How about this? Create instance, eventually calls, gets a size, and sets the rank. Where's the this just does a create window, okay. Oh, I see. And these here eventually call, everything eventually calls this one. Okay. And most of them come in here. Now I invented a struct that is essentially a create struct. It even says so. This is a create struct. But because I'm using atoms instead of string values, this is the kind of thing that you can copy them around if you want. You could have a copy constructor. You could pass it to another function. Because there's no strings, you know, string literals are okay, they don't die. But it could be something mallet or something like that. But the atom's just an identifier. So this create struct, the M, it has only one member, M. This M is copyable. It only has numbers in it. So that's why I thought it's easier to deal with just those atoms. Now, of course, you can't get the class name out of an atom. Even though you use a class name to create an atom, for some reason, you can't get it out until you actually create a window. And then finally, it comes out. See, I traced it out here. After the create window, I can call get class name, and it gets me a name. The last one happened to have this name, and that's its atom value. Alright, well, let's run this. So, like before, I cycle through the cursors, and I'm drawing the name of the type of cursor. You'll notice, by the way, that I'm drawing a shadow underneath there. But all that is just silly stuff. Just playing around. Where's my window from? Okay, just I draw 20 pixels away from the cursor, plus 2 more pixels. I draw that's like a dark image of the text, and then move back 2 pixels and draw the text, and that gives you a shadow effect. The color is a little bit close to the background, not exactly black. Yeah, so now you'll notice that in this case anyway, maybe not every case, that this is one where I specified the client area. So the client area ought to be 640 by 480, which it is, using the same similar calculations like before. And I just turn that into a function. And basically I gotta go through every possibility. I think I've pretty much done all the regular styles. Okay, so if there's an H scroll, I'd add this much. If there's a V scroll, such and so. If there's extended styles, then it's a little bit, sometimes it's a little bit bigger. Now, like the TS dialog thing, there's a this pointer is passed into this create struct that is always called during the create call. This function, okay, eventually calls this with WM create. So in fact, this doesn't happen afterwards. This happens during the create. Now I get this pointer. If I don't get this pointer, I return the magical -1, which means failed to create. I again, like with the dialog, save it off into the user data, different spot this time. call the window procedure of the derived class, which they must implement, and if that 2 returns -1, again that means die. Now what about this bit here? Unlike the dialog thing, if you look under the help under Windows messages, I don't know if it's going to say. No. I don't know, I'm just trying to get to a spot where I can click on the overview or something. Okay. Now, you see, unlike with the dialog box thing, where if you returned false or something, that meant that the message was not handled or something, and true said it was, one way or the other. Unfortunately, in the case of a window proc, the return value depends on the message sent. Like for instance, maybe the return value might be the length of a string or something, right? So I can't tell by the return value of this WinProc whether or not the message has been processed. The return value and whether or not the message has been processed are two separate things, and so that we need two return values. So in the class definition, the definition of that virtual takes same as before, message, 2 parameters, and a reference to a bool saying whether or not the message had actually been handled. If the message was handled, then I should return whatever this thing returned. If not, then I might handle it myself, or I might return the default window procedure, which is defined here. This is private. This class has its own default stuff that it does, not much. A few default things. Let's see what is default. Here's the stuff we just saw. Well, okay, we'll just go through this quickly. So we saved off this pointer. Then some messages come in. If there's no this pointer, I trace out a warning. Turns out a couple messages do come through before the this pointer is set up. Here, get max info, no client, non-client create, non-client. All of these things happened before this pointer was set. Doesn't matter, we just return the regular default window proc. Eventually we do get a this pointer. Then I call the WinProc and pass in a Boolean reference. If the message was handled, I return the return value of that WinProc. Otherwise, I return my own default window proc, and my own default window proc has what you should never have to type down twice in your life. Ever, now you'll never have to type this again, ever. And I have some default handling for WM close. Now, I could either generalize this or let this thing handle it. But I think I prefer that nobody make that dumb mistake that I was making. It's got to go WM close, destroy window, post quit message, done. Alright? That has to go in the right order. So somehow, I could maybe add a WM close callback, and the client who derives from this can return a value, yes, go ahead and close the window, or no, don't close the window. Sort of like this ID, yes. And so therefore the behavior is defined by the derived class, but the correct handling is already set up. Alright. Otherwise, I'm calling what's called default window proc, which is a global function everybody can call. And that's pretty much all there is so far, and it does a lot of things. I can change this here to, I don't know, what other styles are there? How about, I haven't tried minimize and stuff like that, but they have these combinations. Well, pop-up window, try that. See how that works. So that's that other one, remember? So that's a pop-up window. Now you can add things, like I could add a thick frame. I don't know if that'll work, but try it. What if I add a thick frame to my pop-up window? See that? Oh, and this mouse handling. Oh, what is that? So now that's resizable. Oh, no, I can't. Hang on. How do I get out of here? I want to see if I got the client area size right in this case. Should be 640 by 480. No. So there's one I gotta fix. I made a mistake there. I'm assuming there's a title bar here or something. Okay, so we gotta deal with all these bugs as they come up. But there's only a finite number of combinations. There might be a lot. What if I put a dialog frame instead of a thick frame? This time I think I'm going to get a title bar. And I do, and I think it's going to be correct this time. No, off again. So that's not correct either. Oh, see, it's messed up. It didn't use the thick frame. Oops. So see, there are things you gotta Oh no, it's dialog frame. Okay. How about I didn't try everything. The overlap is just 0. We can add those things. See, I've got a great big list here of the things I tried. Snake frame plus overlap should work. Unless I made a mistake copying my own notes. Let's try that. Well, overlap is just 0. And I think we just tried this. Yeah, tried that one. Overlap. Dialogue. No, how about just dialogue frame on its own? It doesn't look right. I shouldn't be seeing any white there. Oh no, but I'm not adding the 1 pixel. So it might actually be correct. And it is correct. Okay, so some of it works, some of it doesn't work. There's some keyboard support. Escape brings up that box. And that's just I'm just using a WM-CHAR message. That's CHAR with the character code escape. Now again, see, to quit, it's got to go through the whole the proper cycle. So first you close, right? Now that invokes that thing that's going to ask a question. I have to say I handled the message, and I have to return 0 when I've handled it according to the help. Then the message box comes up, and then I can either cancel like that, and it didn't die, or I can choose yes and go through the proper procedure and no assert, which there would be in the message loop. Assert not valid window in the message loop. So that's where I am now. I'm going to go through about 1,000 more experiments to fix up those sizes. Incorporate that into here. Deal with the problem of sometimes things being child windows rather than parents or frames, and so that we can use it with our animation control that we made. We can turn that into one of these windows, not necessarily with its own loop. This thing it should be a static function, better be. Well, it probably isn't. Yeah. I think that should be static and take either an H-wind or a. You see, there's nothing to do with H-wind here except for this last statement, right? And sometimes I don't want to use this. Sometimes another another part of the system, like in a dialog box, has its own special message loop, which would include updating my window in it from its loop. So this could probably be like register. It could be a static thing that maybe takes a window handle. And you can run a message loop without any window handle at all either. This thing is actually retrieves what are called thread messages, like process messages, and it doesn't necessarily have anything to do with a window. Usually it does. Anyway, that's the progress update, and I'll let you know if anything more happens.